Acast powers the world's best podcasts. Here's a show that we recommend.
Do you like being educated on things that entertain but don't matter? Well, then you need to be listening to the podcast with Knox and Jamie. Every Wednesday, we put together an episode dedicated to delightful idiocy to give your brain a break from all the serious and important stuff.
Whether we're deep diving a classic movie, dissecting the true meanings behind the newest slang, or dunking on our own listeners for their bad takes or cringy stories, we always approach our topics with humor and just a little bit of side-eye, and we end every episode with recommendations on all the best new movies, books, TV shows, or music.
To find out more, just search up the podcast with Knox and Jamie wherever you listen to podcasts and prepare to make Wednesday your new favorite day of the week.
Acast helps creators launch, grow, and monetize their podcasts everywhere. Acast.com.
Hello, everyone. This is What's Your Issue? I'm Darlene Sussman.
And I'm Troy McEady.
And we're here with another magazine issue to dissect and discuss.
And this time we're in a different decade. We're somewhere completely different than we were last time.
Yeah, we wanted to make sure that you all understand that this is not exclusively an early 2000s podcast. Yes, we chose two early 2000s magazines for our first two episodes, but anything's possible on this podcast. We could do any time, any place, any genre.
Exactly. Of course, the early 2000s is embedded deep into our bones. It is burned into us. But we have other interests. We love the 80s. We love the 90s. We love the 70s. And there are way too many interesting magazines from different decades to just focus on one time period. So yeah, we're going to explore all facets. We also just want to be consistently transparent that we're creatively working on this show every step of the way, and you guys are kind of a part of it. So that means you're gonna see segments being introduced and new sounds and all kinds of things, editing choices, and we're also very open to suggestions. So if you guys have suggestions for segments that you want to see each week or with certain kinds of magazines, we're very open to it. But you are gonna see it kind of ever changing as we keep going, which is exciting.
Nothing is set in stone at this moment.
Yes,
we're evolving.
We're ever evolving. I'm excited to see what this becomes and what it turns into, because I feel the more we record, the more we'll figure out different segments and things like that, the more magazines we cover. So I'm excited for that.
Hell yeah. Troy, should we get into it?
Dara, what's your issue?
I am so thrilled that you asked. My issue this week, it's a doozy. It is Us Weekly, September 7th, 1987. On the cover, we have a 29-year-old Madonna. And I chose this issue because I wanted to, first of all, give us a little whiplash with a magazine from the 80s. And also I thought it was fun to be able to look at a magazine that we are so familiar with today, and sort of see the evolution of how that magazine has changed the aesthetic, the things they talk about, and also, just see a whole new crop of celebrities. But specifically, this cover really spoke to me when I was looking. It's Madonna looking just scrumptious.
Yeah.
In front of I suppose it's a pool. It's sort of out of focus, but it's just a gorgeous, gorgeous retro looking cover.
It's funny you mentioned how the magazine has changed, because it was the fact that this is an Us Weekly is almost jarring, because it's so, in the 80s, Us Weekly was so gorgeous. They really did
yes,
actual photo shoots similar to a Vanity Fair, or I would almost say it kind of feels like Vanity Fair and People had a baby, where it's much more highbrow than it ended up becoming. It's not 20 different little screen caps on the front page of different things, and it's just very simple and beautiful. And it's peak Herb Ritts Sean Penn era Madonna. She looks incredible.
Yeah, and that's the other thing about this issue that I chose it for, because I'm very fascinated by the Sean Penn era of Madonna's history.
Mm-hmm.
And this profile catches her kind of like right in the middle of that. It's an interesting thing to explore that I think older people or big Madonna fans are sort of aware of this time period. But for the youngins, it's something to learn.
The Madonna and Sean of it all is like very lost in translation at this point. Like, it's funny when a celebrity couple can be so like meteoric in how they take over the world or how much they're talked about, and then, you know, like 10 years later, like they'll kind of be summed up to like one thing. And I think like the most that people know of Madonna and Sean Penn is that that he allegedly like tied her to a chair. People always bring that up, that he tied her to a chair and that they got in that physical fight. And it's their whole relationship has kind of been boiled down to that, but it was like so much messier than even that, which is insane.
Oh, yeah. So, in our first news segment, we are going to be doing letters to the editor, which is pretty much in every magazine that we've seen. So, we'll read one from the issue that we're covering, and then we'll also read one from the audience. We don't have any right now, but this is an official mail call. You can write in, you can either DM us, you can send us a message on Patreon if you're a member of that, or you can email us at what'syourissue@gmail.com, and then give us an opinion, whether positive or negative, of what you thought of the last episode. And then we will read it in the following episode. We'll choose one. So give us your name and where you're from and your little blurb.
And please write it in the style of a magazine that you have in your head. You can always tell like the J14 write-ins versus like a Vanity Fair versus like an Entertainment Weekly, like or like a Blender where they're just like brutal and fucking horrible and they're like, Fergie pissed herself. They're all so different. But yeah, I just think that that's such a fun universal thing with magazines that they all have. And when I was younger, I used to kind of skip over those, like that section of whatever I was reading. And now I'm obsessed. Like now it's like my fate. I can't wait to get to it.
There's a lot of character in these letters. So yeah, we'll only read maybe like one or two from the audience per episode. So if you want to make it in there into an episode, you got to bring a little joie de vivre to your writing.
You might want to use a feather pen. I'm just saying.
Oh, yes. Either quill or a feather pen like Elwood's. We will accept either.
Yeah, ink dipped, please.
The letter that I chose is in response to the previous issue of Us Weekly, the previous week, and it was their 10th anniversary issue. And Dennis Shears from Birmingham, Alabama writes, "Only one thing prompted this letter. That thing is Dolly Parton. She has had numerous movies, records, posters, and even her own theme park, Dollywood. Yet there was no mention or picture of her. It seemed only fitting for two greats, like your magazine and Dolly, to celebrate together." I chose this one because all I could think about was sweet, sweet Dennis Shears, sweet gay Dennis Shears in Birmingham, Alabama in '87. Just unabashedly calling out his love for Dolly Parton from the rooftops.
I'm like picturing him in a room surrounded by Dolly memorabilia. I picture he's a stan. And I also love the picture that they chose. They chose this like Dolly glamour shot to represent his little blurb. It's so 80s homosexual. I love it.
It definitely is giving early stan behavior, because the thing is, he is just saying you didn't mention Dolly Parton as if like this was their 10th anniversary issue. Maybe that was not relevant.
Right.
To the 10 last years of their time being a magazine. And it was just like, well, you should have included her because you're both greats.
Right. He's like, I'm just upset that you didn't. Thank you.
And I hope if Dennis is still alive, I hope wherever he is, he's happy.
Me too.
And he's living out loud. Next up on page 4, we have the feature Loose Talk.
Can I also just read this Cher quote from the Loose Talk page?
Of course.
Just as a side note, it's fun to read a magazine where Cher is like a young lady, because she's in like so many pages and just being fierce and iconic. And she said, "You could fit everything I've learned about men on the head of a pin, and still I'd have room left for the Lord's Prayer." God, what a woman.
I mean, Cher is one of my number ones of all the divas. It's Cher and Liza for me. Anytime we see a Cher, we're going to have to talk about it.
That's so homosexual of you. I love it.
Oh, of course. My favorite quote, though, of this is something that I want to, put on a t-shirt, put on my gravestone. Shirley MacLaine, just remember that you are God and act accordingly.
When I read that, it affected me deeply. That's like some real true tea. Like, you are God in your own life.
So act accordingly, bitch.
Also, her photo. I know that the choice of drug in the 80s was cocaine, but like, it seems like everybody was hallucinating. Like, the photo that they chose is of her holding it looks like a pigeon.
They're two doves.
Oh, she's got two. There's another one on both hands. She has two doves. She's looking longingly into their eyes. Like, it's such an odd photo choice.
So this quote comes from her seminar, Connecting with the Higher Self. I have not yet tried to look up to see if I can find this anywhere, but if I can find this seminar, we're going to have to take this seminar together. That'll be a little Patreon group learning experience.
I mean, if just that quote had that much of an effect on me, I can't even imagine what the full seminar is. Shirley, get ready to have your pockets lined, girl, because we're coming for your seminar, girl.
Honestly, it's such a perfect quote for Leo season right now. Like, it really hit me in the solar plexus when I read it, and I'm going to be abiding by that.
Yeah, for sure.
Another great quote that I really enjoyed was by Billy Joel. "I threw a piano, not a tantrum."
Short and sweet, but perfect.
How did he throw a piano is what I'd like to know. He doesn't seem like the strongest gentleman.
Well, it's funny. When I first read that, I thought it was Billy Idol. When I saw, like, I threw a piano, not a tantrum. Like, I immediately internalized it as Billy Idol talking about, like, trashing a hotel or something. And then when I read it again and saw that it was Billy Joel, I was like, what does he mean there?
Well, he was a drunk, of course. Drunk diva behavior. And then, of course, something I think about all the time. In 2004, Billy Joel drove his whole ass car into someone else's house in Long Island.
Oh my God, I forgot about that. Holy shit.
There are two cars driving into home situations that I always think about, and it's Billy Joel, 2004, the Hamptons, and then also Lizzie Grubman, the publicist Lizzie Grubman, when she drove her car into a Hamptons party.
I was waiting for you to mention Lizzie.
I mean, you can't speak on driving into someone's home without bringing up Lizzie Grubman.
Lizzie Grubman is my favorite Where's Waldo. If you look at any Diddy White Party, just any cool event from the 90s and early 2000s, she is there.
Oh, you know what magazine I want to do someday? I forget what magazine. It might have been Vanity Fair, and it's all about the Hollywood girly publicists, and it's kind of it's a famous article, and it features Lizzie Grubman, and then years later there was a reality show. I think it's called Power Girls or something was the name of the article, and they turn it into a 1-season reality show that you can't find anywhere. But I'd love to cover that magazine someday so we could just talk all about Lizzie Grubman.
Yeah, I didn't even know that was a thing, so I definitely want to cover that.
On to the next. On page 5, Faces and Places, which is reminiscent of what Us Weekly does today. Of course, celebrities, they're just like us. And just the general, here's little snippets of celebrities around town doing their things. The first picture is John Travolta playing in a celebrity baseball tournament game. Baseball game. Sure. You guys, write in. Is it a game, match, tournament? They're playing a benefit game, and John Travolta is wearing long jeans. And someone asks him, "Why the long pants?" He explains, "I get paid a lot of money to show off these gams."
No, mind you, this is like peak 80s John Travolta. This is funny because the Faces and Places combines the celebrities that are just like us, and another thing that I love is like the reoccurring celebrity sports charity thing. Somehow all of my favorite people will typically end up at these like celebrity charity events, like these sports events, whether it's like basketball or baseball. It's usually either baseball or basketball. Those are the only two that I feel like I've seen.
There's also, I feel like there's a lot of golf.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. I just love it. I just love, seeing like Anna Nicole out there in like a tied up baseball shirt, pretending to play baseball, or like, it's just such a weird like buffet of celebrities.
And getting to see them in a completely different context.
Yeah. And like hanging out with each other, like seeing like, Pam Anderson and like Arsenio Hall playing, kickball together or whatever. Like it's just like funny. I'm surprised it never became like a television show or like a reality show or something.
Oh, I feel like that almost rings a bell to me. Like maybe that someone tried that once. Well, I suppose they did have celebrity diving
Oh, God.
show. Was it just diving or was it swimming? I think it was just diving, and it was Kyle and Kim Richards.
Yeah. And like Drake Bell like won.
Yes.
They have that, and then they also always had Battle. Well, they didn't always have it, but they had Battle of the Network Stars, which was like sort of like a field day for soap stars and different people, like people from like ABC, NBC, CBS. That was like, I guess, kind of close, but that never like that was like a 80s thing that they tried to then bring back, and it like didn't work. I think they actually Andy Cohen tried to produce that, and he tried to get it on Bravo.
You're right. I wonder why that didn't work.
I don't know. It's got all the makings.
You know why I feel like it probably didn't work is back then, those celebrity tournaments were for real celebrities. Whereas a show like that today, it's just going to be reality stars. And I feel like that's not as interesting. Like I love my reality stars more than I love my celebrities to a degree. But seeing them in another capacity where they're competing, playing stupid games and looking like idiots, it's more fun to see John Travolta, whether he's good or bad at baseball or something, than the sisters Richard.
Well, especially when you consider that they already do that trope on like every reality show where they're like, girls, we're going to play pink volleyball. Like they have some stupid twist on, whatever. Like they literally just did that on the Real Housewives of Orange County. They just went and played flag football. Like they do that already, and it's like nothing new. But you're right. There's something about seeing Michael J. Fox swing a bat that's like different. It's like feels really cool.
The third page of Faces and Places, there's a picture of Ted Danson and Kirstie Alley. They're in matching denims. She's in a Canadian tuxedo. He's wearing a matching pair of jeans. But it says Ted Danson and Kirstie Alley. Move over, Diane. Summer school co-star Alley joins Cheers as Danson's boss. Now, I brought this up because, Troy, did you ever watch the movie Summer School?
No, I don't think so.
This was a movie that I saw very young. It was on TV, and it's about these kids, like these bad kids, bad teenagers who go to summer school. And I remember it affecting me so deeply. It was kind of a bit of a dirty, dark film. The tone was light, but it had such dark qualities to it that it was burned in my brain. It's a very 80s movie. If anyone's seen it, please let me know.
It pains me that Kirstie Alley was such a cunt because as a child, you couldn't tell me shit about Kirstie Alley. Like, she was everything to me. I thought that she was the most beautiful, gorgeous, best actor, funny, her hair, the voice. I just have to repeat over and over her voice, her voice, her voice. Like, I would watch Look Who's Talking like it was required viewing every single week. I think I had a straight crush on her.
Troy, let me just say this. The Look Who's Talking trilogy is probably the most meaningful childhood films I had seen. It was that and Three Men and a Baby and Three Men and a Little Lady. But the Look Who's Talking trilogy, oh my God, I would watch it so much. I loved it.
Did you have a favorite of the three?
The second one.
Me too. It's the best.
Look Who's Talking Now doesn't feel like canon.
Right. The second one I think is the best.
Do you know my theory that Look Who's Talking is Scientology propaganda?
No. Why do you... Wait, I guess why would it not be? But go on.
Basically, in Scientology, the thought is that children are just little adults. They are adults in small bodies and sort of should be treated as such, which obviously has some pretty bad outcomes for how children are treated in Scientology. But there's this clip that John Travolta, where he's in an interview and he talks about how he remembers being like basically a sentient infant.
Oh my God.
So he's a Scientologist. Kirsty is a Scientologist. So I think that it was John Travolta, Kirstie Alley, like bringing the word of Scientology to the masses.
I mean, it's a very easy streamline.
On my other podcast, Lay, Do You Remember This? I did a mini 7-minute episode on my theory of this. I pulled it from the main feed. I'll throw it up on the Patreon so people can listen because there's some clips and stuff that sort of prove my point.
Wow, now I'm never gonna look at it the same. Not in a bad way, but like it's just more layered now. Now I'm gonna watch it even more.
Now, here's what will probably be another segment. We're going to discuss the ads, and they've got some great ones in here. The 80s, 70s, the ads in magazines are so much cooler. We're in like Mad Men era.
I was just gonna say that it feels like an actual boardroom of people and like artists were sitting together and like creating actual art. The more we get towards the early 2000s, like the cheaper the ads feel, the less well thought out they feel, and then they also feel more like overt in being like sexual. It's funny, every early 2000s magazine has some sort of like, whether it's Axe or Bod or whatever, hair pomade or whatever, is like, look, the geek gets the girl, and it's like an ad with a nerdy guy, you know, a guy that's like unassuming, standing around like 40 women that are all like naked and like wanting to fuck him. Like that was like every single ad in the early 2000s. It's like actually really sad, but it was cool like going through this magazine and like seeing all of these really art driven, beautiful ads that I would legitimately hang on my wall. Just stunning. The cigarette ads, don't even get me started.
Oh, well, that's the other thing I think about ads and why it's great to have a little focus on them is I do think another great way to sort of get a feel of the time period is through ads. Like it sort of shows how times change, how technology changes. Like there's several cigarette ads in this issue. We haven't seen a cigarette ad in a magazine in 20 years.
I miss the way different cigarettes, like, you know, just like any product, like different cigarettes, different vibe, different advertising. This is like very random, but I've always loved a Marlboro ad. I just love like the classicness of a Marlboro ad. I love the photography, and I love the idea that like the Marlboro man is like all these different, like it's not Joe Camel. It's like just all these different men that like meet an aesthetic. And I actually really wanted Beyonce to do Marlboro ad imagery for Cowboy Carter. I just thought that would have been really cool. And I also, no shade to Joe Camel. Like the Camel ads, I mean, the narrative that they were telling with that fucking cartoon Camel for so many years of him like playing pool and having his back up against the wall of a bar and flicking a cigarette and throwing a beer back. I mean, he was the Don Draper of the 80s.
Which was very problematic because it was targeted directly towards children.
Yeah. I'm sure at some point I wanted to fuck Joe Camel. I'll be honest. I'll be honest about it. I'll be the first to say it.
That is so brave of you, Troy. And I think there's a lot of people that are going to hear that and feel seen.
Mm-hmm. Come forward, girls. It's time to speak up.
Another great ad in this one is it's on page 22, and it's a Hush Puppies, like the shoe, a Hush Puppies ad. It's so chic. It looks, it feels like it's shot on film, like it doesn't have that sort of, like it feels like practical.
It's funny that you mentioned the Hush Puppies one because I literally saved it to like I like want to do something with it. It's just so cool. It's like one of those like match the face. Like they have them cut in half and like their top half it's like, for example, like Debbie Harry, and then they've mixed like the bottoms, like their feet and their legs. It kind of looks like Panic at the Disco's first album cover. And it's just so cool. It's so beautiful.
I love this that on the next page, the Peachtree Cream Schnapps ad.
It's a lip licking peachy new cream. And I love that like there's a lot of simplicity in 80s advertising too, where it's like It's lip licking. So then, of course, there's a girl above licking her lips. Like, it's not, it's simple, it's to the point. You know, it's all about a tagline. Yeah, it's effective. It's beautifully shot. Even in this case where you can, obviously, like, you can tell that the schnapps bottle, and you guys will see this when, obviously, when we post the episode, but, like, the schnapps bottle is, like, edited into the photo, but it all just feels so practical and, like, it feels art driven and art directed rather than how can we sell sex?
All right, so now we would like to direct class to page 12, our cover story, Madonna. How's that, girl? And it says on the first page as an intro to the article, it's a hazy midsummer night on Hollywood's Sunset Strip. Before Sean Penn reported to jail, before hordes of fans mobbed the Who's That Girl premiere in Times Square, but already Madonna's life seems pretty complicated. The 29-year-old woman sitting across the table in a deep alcove of this trendy restaurant looks perturbed. Typically, Madonna's eschewing a drink, but atypically, she looks like she could use one. Her gaze is direct as always, but she keeps turning it toward the entranceway, 20 yards to her left, and the almost childlike cadences of her speech seem slowed. At some unspecified point tonight, her husband, Sean Penn, is to arrive. When their romance was just a rumor, this writer had asked about him, and she replied, Sean to me is the perfect American male. I'm inspired and shocked by him at the same time. And this article is by Fred Schruers. What did you think of this article, Troy? Was there anything like super new that you learned?
I didn't learn anything, but it definitely like reaffirmed the way that I feel about these two as a couple because so I think that one of the things that's kind of gotten lost in translation when it comes to Madonna and Sean is that they were like they had this kind of Whitney and Bobby thing about them. There was a toxicity, there was a want from the public for more of them, but also like wanting them to break up. And they would break up a lot. They would break up and get back together. And they were known for being really volatile and like fighting in public and violent. You know, Sean would like beat people up if they talked to her. Or, like, you know, if photographers that she knew for a long time would take her picture, he would like punch them and infamously hung a photographer over a balcony. They were really volatile. And I think one thing that people kind of forget is that even though like them being together, like it made them both very famous and it made them way more famous. I would almost say that it was like a damper on Madonna's career because it was this pop star that the whole country was in love with being associated with this violent asshole drunk that people also like loved, but was like, he made her look bad a lot.
I think what's interesting about this article is like you're not really learning anything new. It's not it just talks a lot about basically the beginnings of her career, but she's about to go on her second tour. And the interesting part about it is you see how her relationship, being in a toxic, abusive relationship, is affecting her quality of life. And they're just sort of discussing Sean in a peripheral way, you know, discussing different times they're fighting and how it sort of shows up on her face, and she doesn't have the same sort of fun bad girl attitude. Like, she seems often a little more sullen or upset. And then in the very last paragraph, we finally get a little bit of Sean when he shows up to the interview.
Okay. Yes, I found it. Okay. It says, back at the restaurant on Sunset Strip, the coolest guy in the universe has made his appearance, arriving with the director of photography for his upcoming film Colors, a cop story directed by Dennis Hopper. He's wearing a sport coat, a tan, a short haircut, and a half grin. The interview stops here, he says, but then talks amiably enough about a mutual acquaintance. A few minutes later, Sean interrupts Madonna to complete a story without realizing it's going into the tape. When he sees the reel turning, he grabs the machine and maladroitly tries to find and erase his words, but the tape recorder has no speaker, and he finds himself stymied. There's a lingering, unamiable pause. Finally, he hands the recorder back, unharmed. He's still grumbling in the parking lot. How the tape is used, he says, will be a test of character. It's a laughable thought, but the last words come from Madonna as her dark blue Mercedes sports coupe is driven up. She says, quote, "His bark is worse than its bite," she says, before pulling into the anonymous stream of fancy cars on Sunset Strip. And it's like such a perfect example of like their dynamic where he just shows up like this bull in a china shop, you know, a little unhinged, like kind of an asshole, and then there's her apologizing for him. They also mention in this article that they had done a film together, Shanghai Surprise, which, have you ever seen Shanghai Surprise?
I have not.
So Shanghai Surprise was like Madonna and Sean's Geely. It was horrendously reviewed to the point that people talked about it as like a career ruiner. They were like, this is going, there's no way that they can recover from this. It was really bad. And it was at the height of their bad press where people were just like, they are so toxic. I forget their nickname. They had like a Perez Hilton kind of name.
They were the Poison Pens.
The Poison Pens. That's not good. But they mentioned Shanghai Surprise. They call it shockingly amateurish, which I think is like putting it very lightly for how people talked about it. But then there's this tiny little section where they talk about their upcoming projects. And none of these things came into fruition, but I just wanted to kind of quickly read them because I'm like, what? It says, perhaps with that experience in mind, Madonna won't be sitting back waiting on reviews of Who's That Girl. Her Siren film production company has Angel Flight, a romance thriller to co-star Madonna and French star John Hughes Angeli in the works. Then she's got an update to the 50s of Marlene Dietrich's classic role in Blue Angel with Foley pal Diane Keaton producing. And then it says Madonna says that she'd like Robert De Niro for the Emil Jennings role. On hold are Robert Stingwood's Evita. Who knew like that Madonna was tied to Evita? I mean, in the 80s, I didn't know that.
You know, it's a great example of what it actually takes to get a movie made in this damn town. There are so many, so it came out in 1996, almost 10 years after this was published.
Wow.
But yet there's so many movies out there that you have no idea took 5, 10, 15 years to get made.
I'm really upset that we didn't get the Diane Keaton produced Madonna movie. I don't like that.
I wonder what happened with that.
I don't know. That would have been really cool. I was like, Diane Keaton. You know how I feel about her.
Honey, what's the Diane Keaton that made you said Diane Keaton was for you?
She's my number one girl. Well, I've told you I love this movie called Looking for Mr. Goodbar.
Yes.
My favorite erotic thriller. If anybody listening has seen Looking for Mr. Goodbar, please DM us because you're my people and we need to be friends. But that's my girl, number one always.
Oh, so we were discussing Diane Keaton when Troy was in LA. And I never told you my story of when I saw her on the street. Very quick story. I saw her in Brentwood, and I would say it was 90 degrees. And I see this woman putting money in the meter. Like it comes into focus. I'm like, oh my God, that's Diane Keaton. She is complete Diane Keaton. Like she is wearing a full length winter coat and just all of these layers and layers, just looking elder kooky as hell. And it was no joke, 90 degrees.
Like her wearing full wool turtlenecks to the beach is so my vibe.
I mean, she seems like a gal who runs cold, you know? She always needs a cashmere pashmina wrapped around her delicate skin.
For sure. That's hilarious. Sorry, I didn't mean to get us so off.
You never have to apologize for Diane.
Wow, that's amazing. I can't believe you saw her in person.
It was, I would say, the best celebrity sighting I've had. But another interesting part of this article that jumped out to me was they have like a little aside blurb with Madonna in a few different outfits that she's going to wear on this tour. The first outfit is so Katy Perry, and I kind of forgot how Madonna's outfits were so kooky. Like I always sort of thought of I'm blanking, Girls Just Want to Have Fun.
Cyndi Lauper?
Yes, Cyndi Lauper. Like I feel like I always think of Cyndi Lauper as having the early Katy Perry vibes, but Madonna is wearing the kookiest little outfit with just plastic lobsters on the bustier, fuzzy dice. Very silly.
It is really silly. Who's that girl, Madonna? This is like how I would say right before Madonna became very serious. This was like the era of camp kooky, Katy Perry, fun, goofy, silly Madonna. Like, even this tour, this Who's That Girl show, she's the reason that concerts and like celebrity, that when pop stars go on tour, that they have these elaborate, crazy, over the top stage productions, because the Blonde Ambition tour was like the first real show like that. So like this era of Madonna is kooky, fun, silly girl. Like, she's even like during the show, she's like running back and forth on stage and like laughing, and it's very like humor forward more so than anything. She wasn't like really serious yet. I mean, she didn't even have her accent, her British accent yet.
What's your favorite Madonna era?
I love Ray of Light.
I mean, Ray of Light, this song is my get up in the morning, try and greet the day with positivity and optimism.
It's your Zephyr in the sky.
Yes.
Yes, it's so, I love that whole little, like, I call them cousin albums, but like Ray of Light, Music, American Life, like that little section where she was like doing a lot of like guitar and all of that stuff. That's my favorite.
It was kind of like a comeback era, right? Like not a full-fledged, but
Yeah, it was, you could say it was for sure a comeback, and I think people were like kind of like curious to see what she would be like as an artist that is now a mom. I mean, she had just done like Erotica, and like the Girly Show was like a literal BDSM themed tour. So I think people were like, what is she gonna be like as a mom? Like, is it over? And it was just so shocking that she took that turn, and like that it felt so organic, and just like natural and real. And it just didn't feel, like when the girls now, when they do their little eras, it all feels so Camila Cabello. It's like, no, I'm a Miami blonde. It's like, all right, you know what I mean?
yeah. No, she was doing real reinvention. I mean, I'm not saying anything groundbreaking with that. Did anything else jump out at you in this article, Troy?
I mean, they definitely, I guess the only other thing I would say is that when it comes to Madonna, like, you'll often hear her origin story come up. And my friend Zach and I always laugh because, like, she's always telling her origin story. Like, even now when I just saw her show, like, she was, the whole show is about her origin story. She's like, I was dropped off in New York with 25 cents, and like, it's kind of true, kind of not, but it like doesn't really matter that some of it isn't true, because I think every true icon needs a really good origin story to become an icon. They're like rags to riches. And it was cool to read this, and like, I don't know, it's such an early article, but they're still even like, talking about her being poor in New York and living in like a really bad area, and like her old producer was like, I was afraid to go to her house because I thought I would get shot. They really hammer it home. So it was just interesting to see like the 80s version of like the retelling of Madonna's origin of being dropped off in Times Square with no money. This was a great cover story. Amazing.
Okay, then the next thing we're going to just touch on is on page 34, which says, can we stop loving him? It's a little checkup on Michael Jackson. And Michael Jackson in the media culture, in the magazines, tabloids, was, I mean, I don't know. I feel like if you didn't live during that time, you can't imagine how kooky it was.
It's weird because it's like, it's kooky because you can tell that the media thinks he's kooky, and the public thinks he's kooky, but then he also is like planting his own kooky stories. So it's really just like this tornado of very odd media. And I will say, so far, I think every magazine we've done, we've literally had like 3 episodes, but so far they've all had Michael in them.
And so we're not going to get too much into this article, but the little photo series on page 36 kind of gives you a bit of a window. For example, a picture of who's supposedly Michael Jackson sleeping in an oxygen chamber, which that picture, very National Enquirer.
It was and it was like something that everybody ran with. Every publication, every article, every news outlet, they ran with this Michael sleeps in a hyperbaric chamber story. And the thing about him, I feel like, is like he became so larger than life. I think this about Beyonce too, but not to the same extreme. Where like you become so larger than life that it's really easy to kind of say anything. Like, you know, there's no story about Michael Jackson that seems too weird. So we were going to skim over this article, but I just told Dara that the hairs on my body, I only have about 5 hairs on my body, to be honest, but all of them are raising. They are raised, they are erect, because this article actually is really good. So we're going to continue this Michael Jackson article on Patreon. It's a really, really interesting read, and I think it deserves a moment. So if you're interested in that, it's going to be on Patreon, and I can't imagine how long I'm going to rant. I just want to apologize in advance.
And then the next article on page 38, The New Kids in Town. Hot properties. No brawling brat packers here. These are sane, serious actors. So this is the upcoming hot new Kids in Hollywood. And it's just on the heels of the, it hasn't been that long since the Brat Pack had their day in the sun. They say in this article, in the introduction, they say, remember the good old days before Sean Penn and Tom Cruise got married and Rob Lowe dated royalty? Those were the days of The Outsiders, The Breakfast Club, and St. Elmo's Fire. Well, that's history now. Most of the original Brat Packers have hit the big 2-5. Instead of partying at the Hard Rock Cafe, they're paying mortgages.
Not the Hard Rock Cafe. I'm sorry.
I mean, back when the Hard Rock Cafe was actually cool.
That's hilarious.
Enter the new Brat Pack, a sudden swell of younger actors in such films as Stand By Me, River's Edge, The Lost Boys, and Jimmy Reardon. This time, though, there's barely a yuppie in the bunch. They're a scruffier, funkier group, many the products of ex-hippie parents.
They're like long before the days of drinking sex on the beaches and pink squirrels at the Hard Rock Cafe. It makes you realize how much of the Brat Pack was like, it was such a fierce like marketing tool. Like it was one of those things where like it was so easy for the media to constantly turn it into something or like make a story out of it. And you could see how they would be desperate to try and do it again.
Oh, yeah. And I feel like it didn't really happen again until the Pussy Posse.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When a name sort of lodged into the zeitgeist.
Mm-hmm.
Pussy Posse, coined by Nancy Jo Sales.
Mm-hmm.
She wrote that article on Leonardo DiCaprio and Tobey Maguire and all the guys around him. But they're desperate to have the next Brat Pack. And this one includes, it starts off with River Phoenix. He was in Stand By Me. Of course, Joaquin Phoenix's older brother, who died outside of the Viper Room a few years after this, but he was, this heartthrob, sensitive bad boy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so one thing that's very interesting about the Phoenix is that they grew up in a cult, and it says River Phoenix, he's lived with his family in about 50 places from Oregon to Venezuela. It was such a free feeling, he says. You're constantly adjusting and changing. Actually, he had a pretty traumatic childhood. It did not seem that free and easy breezy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he was in the famous Children of God cult, who also Rose McGowan was in.
Mm-hmm.
And he was in that until he was 7. But his younger siblings, they mention Leaf and Summer are in the movie Huskies. Rainbow, his sister Rainbow, is in the movie Made to Order. And his other sister Liberty has done a commercial. They don't even mention Joaquin. He's but a glimmer in Hollywood's eye at this point.
Oh my God, that is so... Rainbow got the mention, but not Joaquin.
And do you know, I did not realize this. Rainbow also shares a name with Holly Madison's daughter, of course.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But Rainbow goes by Rain now, and she was married to Casey Affleck.
Oh, I didn't put that together. Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Phoenixes, I feel like they were very much like the like the Arquettes or something,
Mm-hmm.
where just like a lot of tentacles throughout the Hollywood scene with all those kids.
I mean, I don't think that there's a better family to compare them to, especially because they all sort of like spider graphed off into such different extremes, but like really cemented, like you said, like real deep roots. Um, and I will say River is my favorite kind of heartthrob. I like the Leonardo DiCaprio, and I think that he is like, he created the Leonardo DiCaprio sort of archetype of like
Oh yeah.
being a beautiful, serious boy. Like you're a heartthrob, and like yes, you're in Teen B, and yes, you're on J14, and yes, you have playing cards and shit that come in magazines. But at the end of the day, like everybody is hyper aware of the fact that like acting does come first for you. Like you're not in it to be just hot. And I love that. Like as a teenager, like that was extremely effective on me. And I just feel like I just wonder, what Leonardo DiCaprio's career would even look like had River not sort of like created the blueprint for his kind of celebrity.
They look very similar around that age.
Not only do they look similar, they have a similar acting style, and I feel like directors must have like kind of viewed them the same, because I honestly think at least I would say for at least like the first like I basically think that Leonardo DiCaprio picked up where River left off. Like I think a lot of the movies that Leonardo DiCaprio was like thought for or even starred in would be movies that River would have done. Like I could even have seen River doing Titanic.
Oh, absolutely. How old? I wonder how old Leo was when River died. He was born in 74. Wow, yeah. I mean, honestly, they're only 4 years apart. He's only 4 years older than him.
You imagine how many movies Leo wouldn't have starred in if River was still alive and still like, the number one. Like, I mean, he was everything, like he was everything, he was everywhere. I just love him. I love River.
Yeah, it's so sad, but I think when he died, the industry was just like, "Oh, well, we need someone to plug into
Hmm.
this spot."
Yeah.
And in came Leo.
Have you ever seen his like that movie that he did before Titanic where he plays like a gay poet? It's called Total Eclipse.
Ooh, no, I've never seen that one.
So the Total Eclipse is this movie where he plays this young gay poet, and there's like a lot of nudity, there's a lot of like gay sex scenes, like he literally shows his penis. And then at the time when he filmed it, they didn't know that Titanic was going to come out like right after and be this like huge thing. And it's a great movie. It's beautifully acted, like so, but it's just very queer. And then when Titanic blew up and he became like a Teen B star, they removed him from like the cover, and they tried to like bury the movie.
Yeah, it's not even on his IMDb page.
Yeah, it's crazy. But it's a great movie. It's very good. I mean, if you want to see Leonardo DiCaprio's penis, just for that alone.
I mean, who doesn't?
Hello.
Have you ever seen Don's Plum?
I have. I have. I think that if you have interest in the Pussy Posse, I think Don's Plum is required viewing.
Yes.
You can't not have seen Don's Plum if you are interested in the Pussy Posse. The two things go together.
I would even say it is just such a great snapshot of young Hollywood culture during that time period.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's like Swingers, but it's so low budget. There's all this lore behind it. So if you're interested in that sort of young
Mm-hmm.
Hollywood culture, you gotta watch Don's Plum. I think you have to watch it on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
It's also scrubbed, but it's a good one.
Wait, Dara, have you watched the documentary about Don's Plum that Vanity Fair did?
Yes.
Of course.
Listen, I went through a bit of a Don's Plum K-hole a year ago or so.
Oh my god. Oh my god, I almost just peed. I don't even know why I asked. I should have just assumed. But that's also good. After you watch Don's Plum, you guys have 7 hours of viewing materials. But after you finish because Don's Plum is like it's unscripted. It's like you're completely right. If you want just like a bird's eye view of what it was like to be in the Pussy Posse and to hang out with those boys, that movie is it. Because like they're just freely talking and being filmed, and it is alarming.
And you see what fucking assholes they are.
God, they're such little fuckers. Leo is such a fucker in that movie. He's such an asshole. Oh.
Well, you really get to see, what he was really like as this young famous guy, like how he was really acting and how he was treating women. Jenny Lewis
Mm-hmm.
is in it, the Jenny Lewis, in her sort of acting days. Amber Benson, for any of the Buffy heads out there.
Mm-hmm.
It's worth watching.
It's for sure. And it's all on YouTube.
So the other young Hollywood people, some of the ones we recognize, Keanu Reeves, a young 23-year-old Keanu Reeves.
With the quote, "I don't look like a classic North American."
Totally my guy. And then Martha Plimpton, which she's also she's Hollywood royalty. Her father's Keith Carradine.
Mm-hmm.
But during this time, she was dating River. And there's some great pictures of them like going to the Oscars. They're just like like Martha Plimpton, I feel like when we were young, she was doing sort of like mom roles.
Mm-hmm.
But back when she was this age, like she was a very cool, she's 16 at this point when she's dating him, and there's like a very hot couple.
It says, and her quote is, because they talk about how she doesn't tell people that she's dating him. And she says, "The main reason I don't tell people is I'm not ready to be pelted with rocks and garbage by teenage girls." Relatable.
And then Meredith Salinger, who she's now married to Patton Oswalt.
Okay.
And then Patrick Dempsey. "I'm a small town boy from Maine," declares Patrick, 21. Actually, speaking of celebrity sightings, my other most exciting celebrity sighting was on New Year's Eve in a small town in Maine. I saw Patrick Dempsey ice skating with his son.
Oh, that's so cute. I love Patrick. It's so funny. I was never a Grey's Anatomy's girl, but I like Patrick Dempsey just in general. And to me, he's famous for Scream. Like, I know Patrick Dempsey as Kincaid in Scream 3. But it's so funny. This picture is such a like the picture that they have of him, he like has his foot over his head and like he's wearing like kooky socks and whatever. It's such a headshot photo. It's such like a, now do something kooky.
Oh yeah. Have you ever seen this? It was a docu-series starring Patrick. It's called like Race to Le Mans.
I don't think so.
It's so good. It's crazy. It's basically about him training to do this like really difficult racetrack. He's a driver. He's like a competitive driver.
Mm-hmm.
And it almost destroyed his family. It got him fired from Grey's Anatomy. And then Shonda Rhimes, as a final FU, has his character die in a car crash because he was like not doing his best work and like missing days and stuff because of his racing career. But this series, it's like you see him on full display and like how his racing career is destroying his marriage.
Oh my God. Can you imagine?
I mean, to the father of your children, of your young children, tooling around in his little car. No, thank you. It's very hot.
He's like, "I can't stop racing. I can't stop." It's like, get over yourself. Put the keys down. Stop fucking racing your car. I would never.
They did announce that they were getting divorced, I think, but then they never did. They worked it out. I imagine he stopped racing.
What a silly addiction to have. Like an addiction in Hollywood, like addicted to racing your car. I mean, I guess there's worse things to be addicted to.
Sure, like freebasing.
Yeah, that's one of the shitty ones.
But there's actually, I think there's a lot of male actors who are addicted to racing.
For some reason, that just makes sense.
Yeah, Michael Fassbender is also addicted to racing, and he also has a docuseries about trying to get to Le Mans.
It gives me the vibe of like I want a natural high because I can have whatever I want all the time
Yes.
vibes.
When you're that rich and that famous, you have to keep scaling up to feel something. Well, Troy, do you feel like we made our way through? Do you feel?
I do. This was awesome. This was like I really enjoyed this magazine. Like, I just really love talking about the 80s, and I love the Brat Pack stuff. The Madonna stuff was so fun. I'm excited to like continue the Michael conversation on Patreon. There are many conversations to be continued on Patreon for this magazine because there's so much going on. But yeah, this was great.
Yeah, this was fun. A window into the past.
Yeah.
So come over to Patreon. We also have some other episodes up. We do some quizzes with each other, some Cosmo Girl quizzes. We have a continuation of last week's episode. We also have PDFs of every issue that we do, so you can read along with us. So join us over there, and please rate, review, and subscribe.
We're begging.
If you can. We're begging. It's a new podcast. It's important.
Yeah.
But thank you all for doing it last week, because we did make a call for ratings and reviews, and you guys, you all showed up.
You showed up, you showed out.
Yeah, we had a nice little jump there. So thank you.
And thank you guys for listening to another episode. This is so fun building it's been a long time since I like took part in building a podcast again from the ground up. So this is like really fun, you know?
It is. And there's no one else I'd rather do it with.
Hello.
Than my number one Troy boy.
Hello, my sister.
All right, you guys. Thanks.
Bye.
Acast powers the world's best podcasts. Here's a show that we recommend.
This season on The Dream.
Supplies are being provided by nurses who run out in the middle of the night and purchase diapers, but the hospital is still charging as if they still have these items.
We are digging into every topic we've ever wanted to cover on this show.
It's a spinning plate analogy. The second that you stop spinning those plates, that crashes. So you can never stop working.
The Dream Season 4 comes at you weekly starting Monday, January 20th.
Acast helps creators launch, grow, and monetize their podcasts everywhere. Acast.com.